Whoa! What the hell? It's like the air just changed. Yoko, are you okay? Hey, what's wrong? Stay with me.
No, this can't be. No. Ah! Why?
Yoko! Yoko! It's no use. She's in no condition to talk. Huh? What? Calling her name really going to help? I'm already yelling as hard as I can. Trying to look for what's causing this? Yoko! Hang in there, Yoko! Look at me. You're gonna be okay. It's alright. There's nothing there. Yoko!
Huh?
Oh, good. You're awake.
What?
Are you okay? You're so rattled and confused, I thought you really lost it. Do you feel dizzy? Have a headache? Are your humors off balance?
Wait, what did you say? I think I've heard that before.
You're the one that said it earlier.
Oh, right. That might have been it. My humors were off balance.
What? Back there? Not like that because of your humors?
Yeah, I've heard at this age your humors being even a little bit off can be fatal.
I'm glad you're back to normal now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause you so much trouble. But I really don't remember what happened.
Sounds like what happened to me. Maybe this place is dangerous somehow?
What? Are you backing out?
Yeah, it just doesn't feel safe to me. I'm worried about you. Let's call today's investigation.
Come on! I just started feeling back to normal, too.
Nope, not happening. Go home. I'll even pay your cab fare, okay? I ended up having to force a still protesting Yoko into a taxi. Even then, she still wouldn't stop complaining. So, to placate her, I promised I'll search a park on my own for a little while longer. Duck.
Before dawn today, a police officer on patrol discovered a man collapsed in a Sumida City park. The man was taken to the hospital, but his death was confirmed shortly after. Investigations are still underway, but police suspect a connection to the other unexplained deaths found in the area at around the same time.
Duck, go for it. Think eccentric voice.
Well done in your efforts thus far. This brings Shogo Okie's story to a close. Ah, but this is not the end. Far from it. In fact, this is where the story finally begins. The routes of the 3 protagonists have now been unlocked. Harue Shigima, a woman who lost her son when he was kidnapped and murdered. Tetsuo Tsutsumi, the chief inspector of the 1st Investigative Division, who is looking into the death of an officer in the line of duty. Yako Sakazaki, a high school girl who wants to bring her friend back from the dead, a girl who died in a suspicious suicide. Each of them is burdened with circumstances that leave them no choice but to seek the right of resurrection. Following these 3 storylines will reveal the full nature of all that is occurring. With that, please enjoy the continuation of this tale.
Alright, Alice, now you can connect to me.
Let's go.
Check if you can move your mouse.
Oh, make sure that's doing good. I cannot.
What? Wait, are you sure you clicked on the window?
Yeah, I see. My actual mouse is just frozen on the top parsec bar. Let me see if I can. Sometimes this shakes it out. Nope, doesn't look like that's working. Gosh, I love tech, don't you?
Technology.
Wee.
Give your axe.
Okay. Trying my arrows. Get some wax.
Yeah, I see you moving.
Oh,
There you go.
hey!
Right.
I'm using WASD.
Oh, okay. Just click on start.
Great. Is that me?
Crap. Duck? I think it's the birding guy. Come on,
Kill
boys.
them!
There you go.
Kill them! The flame bearers! Kill them all!
Alice.
A murderous impulse seeps into my soul, like thick black tar. Now,
Going, Duck.
Can you hear it, Curse Bearer? You who so strongly desires the right. Kill them.
Back with me, ma'am? Can't say I understand what just happened, but it certainly seems to have put you in a good mood. This might be the first time I've ever seen you really smile. Sweet dreams.
No. Not dreams.
Sounds like something I might want to hear about.
Oh god, is this my rodeo now?
Yep.
Oh, cripes on bikes. Cool. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll be damned. Is that what I think it is?
Goodness. You made me jump. It's just a silly little sticker my son got from somewhere or other. He put it up just before... Well, you know what happened. I still can't bring myself to take it down.
Let me take a closer look. I knew it. It's Head Honcho from way back in set 1. This is a real collector's item.
Excuse me?
Don't tell me you never heard of the Mockingbirds.
The what?
They're the hottest new craze. Cute little birds dress up like rough and tumble delinquents.
I've never heard of them, but this certainly seems to matter to you.
Best part is, nobody knows who made them. They just started showing up around town soon enough. They won everyone's hearts. Story goes that they're made by some anonymous artist who covertly leaves them behind in specific locations. No one knows when or where they'll show up next. They're basically an urban legend of sorts. I think one would turn up here of all places. This is a good sign, I'm sure of it.
Sorry. Oh, well, that's nice. Cool. Oh god. This is just one click of the thing. Yeah. Haha, I timed it right. Okay.
Let me bring you up to speed. We're in the middle of a chat, and you suddenly start spacing out. The whole time, you were grinning to yourself like you just won the lottery. Care to tell me what that was all about?
Well, where to start?
Interesting. Very interesting. So the Haunting Clapper's curse echo appears out of nowhere. Told you how to perform the rite of resurrection, and gave you the curse you'll need to do it. Have I got that right?
That's right.
So it's all real. Honestly, I still find it hard to believe. But I guess I have to now. Saw the cursed stone appear in your hand myself. Looked like it popped clean out of thin air. Evidence that clear, there's no denying there's some supernatural force at work.
My heart's still racing. This is it. My chance. At long last. A private investigator I hired. A friend told me about him. He said he's not very well known, but he's good at what he does. When I first visited his office in Oda City and saw how he dressed, I could hardly believe he was a detective. But after talking to him for a while, I changed my mind. He says some strange things at times, but he seems like the reliable sort. An old hanging scroll. I don't know who painted it. It's been hanging here since I was born. There's something I'm missing.
Let's try to see if you can move your mouse again.
It's stuck on the parsec bar.
Ah, that's weird. Okay.
Super weird. The swinging of the pendulum echoes through the room. It feels livelier than usual with Richter here. Usually it's just me. I would say that, like, I should quit out a parsec and go back, but I don't want to waste everyone's time. The lights. The chandelier is the only thing in here that's my choice. It's my favorite part of the room.
We can do that. It might make it easier for you.
Okay.
I mean,
We'll try.
it's pretty quick anyways.
I don't know if it saves more time in the future.
Hopefully. Okay, now my mouse works again. Yeah, make sure that's good. And now I'll try connecting again. Does this work? I clicked in. Haha.
Working?
See, no 1, 2, 3. Yes, it's working.
Excellent.
It's a little floaty, but it's working. My heart's still racing. This is it, my chance, at long last. So, okay. I don't think you quite understand.
Oh?
This isn't about evidence, and it isn't about belief. It's more than that. I know it's real. The moment the curse appeared, I knew everything before it even said a word. It was already there in my head, as clear as day.
You just knew, huh?
It was etched onto my soul, along with the curse echo's resentful memories. So I can feel it, what it was like. Dying like they did, hundreds of years ago. Wreathed in flame, writhing in pain, as my flesh blackens and my blood boils. I can feel it. All the agony, the rage. It fills me with bloodlust. I think I need to kill someone. Anyone will do. Just as long as they're carrying fire.
I see. That could be a problem.
You think so? From what I know of you, I was sure you'd see it as an opportunity.
Stronger the desire to resurrect someone, the stronger the urge to kill. That's how it seems to me, anyway. Good grief. Talk about a spanner in the works. I say we take stock for a moment. Remind ourselves where we've come from and where we're going.
That might be a good idea. My heart's still racing. This is it, my chance. At long last.
Checked out all these things. I just talk to him again, maybe? Oh, this one's new.
The telephone. The mansion has a private line.
Or maybe I just look at it and talk to him again. Talkie bubble. There we go.
That's what you hired me for, ma'am. To look into your son's kidnapping last year. To cover the truth about the abduction and murder of Shuichi Shigeyama.
Oh yes, I remember. They never did find the one who did it.
That's what I'm here about today, in fact. Kind of you to let me drop by so late, by the way. I've been turning over every last stone, and I've come up with a grand total of 1 lead.
So you said.
As far as the police are concerned, it's a cold case, but I managed to make some headway.
I remember. You were just about to tell me.
I suppose there's not much point going over the kidnapping itself.
No, I'm very familiar.
And I'll leave that for the files to cover, and just confirm a few things about the case. Police traced the culprit's calls back to, let's see here, Northern Okoyo River in Sumida City. It's quite a wide area.
That's right.
In the end, they never managed to nail down exactly where the calls were coming from. But it was almost certainly the same location that Shuichi was being held captive. Since Shuichi's voice could be heard during the killer's calls. Northern Okoyo River is quite a distance from Shuichi's normal school commute. Factoring in that he was seen at school but went missing before he arrived at his house. It's likely that he was abducted by a car on his route home.
Maybe, but
Exactly. Shuichi was a clever boy. Never would have gotten into a car with a stranger.
that's right. I was very firm about that. I know he understood too. I even saw him warning the other children.
It's possible that they forced him into the car. Only issue there is, there weren't any witnesses to the kidnapping. You can't bundle someone into a car with this many students around and not be noticed. But nobody came forward to say they saw anything suspicious. So they did target him at some other time, somewhere away from his usual route. Both of those seem a little far-fetched. Which raises the question, how did the kidnapper pull it off?
The police never managed to find an answer. In the end, they decided that the kidnapper must have gotten lucky.
Well, I'm gonna turn the problem on its head. Kidnapper managed to convince Shuichi to get in their car. But how? Only thing that makes sense to me is if they were somebody he would already have, but they were somebody he would have a reason to trust. A teacher, perhaps, or a relative, somebody else that he knew.
But all of the adults Shuichi knew had alibis. The police checked them all thoroughly.
You did, huh? No one throws numbers at a problem like the cops. But what if it wasn't someone he knew? Or rather, what if the culprit disguised themselves as a police officer? That would explain why he didn't find him suspicious. The Shima family has close ties with the police, after all. Could have had a reason to trust them.
You might be right. But surely that couldn't have.
Well, there's a problem with the theory. You'd be surprised how much police officers stand out. That's sort of the point, after all. Meant to be a visible deterrent against crime.
Not this again.
But here's another interesting little bit of trivia I happen to know. When you ask people to imagine someone suspicious, nobody pictures women or children.
Huh?
Even kids who've been warned about stranger danger. Often subconsciously expect that danger to look like an adult man. Besides, Shuichi was the sort of boy who wanted to be a police officer when he grew up. He must have had a very strong sense of right and wrong.
That's right. Wait. Surely you can't mean.
Now you're getting it. Say, a young woman approached Shuichi asking for help. What would he have done? If someone like that said they were lost and asked him for directions, would he have gotten into a car?
He might have. My husband always told him that a man had a duty to watch out for women and children.
You could certainly argue that kind of attitude is outdated nowadays. But if Shuichi believed it, he might have something here.
Then you think the culprit was a young woman. But it was a man's voice on the phone.
She might have been an accomplice. Or maybe she didn't even realize she was being used. If anything, that would explain why she hasn't come forward. She might not realize she had anything to do with the case. So the question is, did anybody see Shuichi speaking to the young woman on the day of his disappearance? See, what I said about people's biases goes for witnesses too. And I figured that if I started asking new questions, I might get some new answers. So I spent a day asking around Shuichi's school route, seeing if anybody had seen something. And one man thought he had.
Do you mean he saw it happen?
Well, I can't say for sure yet. It turned out he wanted something from me, so he asked if we could talk in private. Alright, this should do. There's no one around. We can speak in confidence. Excuse me, what was your name again?
Justin.
Jonouchi.
Got it. Well, Jonouchi, I'm all ears.
Just so we're on the same page. You're a private detective investigating Suichi Shigima's kidnapping. Do I have that right?
Of course, what else do I look like?
How should I know? Look, okay, yeah. How should I know what a private detective looks like? Oh, forget it. Look, I'll tell you straight. My life is in danger, and I need your help.
Mm-hmm. You'll excuse me if that caught me a little off guard. Let me ask you straight. Who was trying to kill you?
A student called Michio Shiriashi.
Interesting. Schoolgirl, eh? Sounds like you've been naughty.
It's nothing like that. That girl, she's a murderer. I'm the only one who knows, but I saw what she did. Michio Shiraishi. I saw her kidnap Suichi Shigima.
Come again?
I saw her talk to him on the street and lead him away. I didn't think much of it at the time, but then he went missing. She murdered him. I'm sure of it. Or at least, she has something to do with it. That's what you're here for, isn't it? Then you can't let her get to me.
If that's true, you've been sitting on some valuable information. Why didn't you tell anybody?
Well, you see,
If you can't explain that, I don't have any reason to believe you.
I couldn't. She told me that she would kill me if I spoke a word.
You're telling me a schoolgirl had you scared for your life. So you've been sitting on that all this time, and you think she's coming for you now that you spilled the beans.
Yes, that's it, exactly. I'm begging you, don't let her get to me. Arrest her, I'm telling you, she's a demon.
Well, you seem to believe what you're saying. But it doesn't add up. How could a schoolgirl have a fully grown man so terrified?
You don't know what she can do. She'll curse me.
Curse you? I'm sorry, but you're losing me here.
It's true. Her house, it's... Forget it. Why do I even bother? You seem dubious enough to believe me, but I should have known you would never understand. Enough. I'll find someone else to help me.
Hey! And that's about the long and short of it.
I can hardly believe it.
At the time, I thought this mention of curses was just crazy talk. But I'm starting to see that there might have been more to it.
Then, if we can just find that girl.
Curse or no curse, she was with Shuichi on the day of the kidnapping. And there's a good chance she knows something. On top of that, I did some digging on the man I spoke to. His name's Kohei Jonouchi. Jonouchi? He's a teacher at Komagata High School here in Sumida.
A teacher? Then this schoolgirl.
Is one of his students? I think that's very likely. And last we got a lead. Hopefully it'll be the breakthrough we're looking for. You know, we still need to figure out exactly what you want me to do. Tell you what. Why don't I tell you what I found, and then we can make a decision.
All right.
That's probably.
You know, you still need to figure out what you want me to do.
Ooh,
I just told you,
Cinderella,
Bill.
yay.
The Rite of Resurrection, huh? I read about that in an occult magazine the other day. Apparently some old book showed up recently with all the gory details. And they said the rite can be found somewhere in Honjo.
I remember the first time you told me about that. It felt like my prayers had been heard. Like I had hope. Real hope. For the first time. Ever since that awful day, I've wondered. What if I hadn't sent him to school? What if I'd just paid the ransom? Not a day goes by when I don't think that if I'd done something differently, Shuichi would still be alive.
Can't blame yourself, ma'am. It's the culprit's fault, not yours. No, that won't help any. Grief is funny like that. I'm guessing that's why you're after the right. Guess I didn't need to ask. It's written all over your face. I can tell how much you meant to you. But, and this is a big but, if this right is the real deal, using it will mean killing someone and stealing their soul.
Is that a problem?
If it comes to that, I'm afraid I'll have to stop you.
Oh, that's a shame.
A shame, huh? That's all?
I thought if I'm going to be competing with other curse bearers, that your detective skills might come in useful.
You realize you're talking about ending someone's life, right? Don't you see an issue with that?
I think any parent in my position would happily kill for a chance like this.
That's so, is it? Dear, oh dear, what have I gotten myself into?
If it makes you uncomfortable, then you won't have to get any blood on your hands yourself. I don't need you to kill the other curse bearers. I only need you to find them.
I won't be part of the murder, ma'am. Not even for a client.
Hmm. We'll try this. How much can I give you to change your mind?
Sorry, ma'am, but not everyone has a price. I've got my policies, and I stick to them.
I see. I didn't realize you were so stubborn.
Let me say, though, it's not like I don't get what you're going through. As long as you're not killing anyone with your own hands, maybe I can help you out.
What do you have in mind?
Well, how about stealing someone else's curse stone after they filled it with soldier eggs? That was all you were after, then. I could lend you my services guilt-free. If the other curse bearers want to kill each other, that's their business. I'm not trying to be a hero here. I guess there's no guarantee a stolen curse stone will work. We can worry about that later.
Well then, I suppose we have a deal. Although, what if I stole a curse stone using my curse? Would you disapprove?
That would void our contract, ma'am. Just warning you now.
My. Ooh. New content.
Before we go any further, why don't you tell me about that curse of yours? The Haunting Clappers, was it? It's one of the Seven Mysteries of Honjo, if I remember correctly.
That's right. The original story did happen somewhere near here, I think. I'm sure I remember hearing that.
In that case, my money would be on the curse bearers being somewhere in Honjo. Our first move should be to narrow them down. Some of them are bound to try and come for you first. We'll need to be ready. Curse makes their bearers more willing to kill, so an attack could come from anywhere.
That sounds sensible.
And if I remember correctly, your haunting clappers can set people on fire, but only if they have a naked flame or a lighter on their person. Is that right?
That's right.
In olden times, wooden clappers were used to warn people of fires. I'm guessing it punishes those that don't heed the warning. Seems like a good curse to have. It's simple and straightforward enough to use. Though it's hard to say how it stacks up without knowing what else is on the table.
You really think that it's good? You really think it's that good?
Target can't do much to throw it off. Has a nice long activation window. It's big that it works on lighters too. Just slip one into your target's pocket. And say that condition were already fulfilled before they even knew you were there, they wouldn't even know what hit them.
Maybe I won't have to actually use it. I could just tell someone I could, and they'd have to do what I said.
Threats could work, although without any proof, it'll come down to how convincing you can be. If only you could use the curse, then back out at the last second.
At the last second? What an interesting idea. I have a lighter here. We could try it now.
That's an interesting proposition. but maybe not. I'm not quite crazy enough to make myself a guinea pig.
Oh, I see.
You're not one, ma'am. If you don't mind me saying, I don't think that's just the curse.
You flatter her.
As for what we do next, first of all, I think you should stay indoors. Try not to do anything spontaneous or outside of your normal routine.
I could try this again, but it's probably going to be the same text.
Right then. Have you decided what you want me working on?
Mm. Yeah.
Finally, I have a lead. I need to know what happened to my son.
Your wish is my command, ma'am. I'll focus all my efforts on looking into the kidnapping.
Although, something just occurred to me. You can't investigate the matter at night, can you? At least until the sun rises. Could you search for the other curse bearers?
Alright, I see how it is. Well, I'd be happy to help. Odds are good that the other curse bearers are also working by night. Anyone they kill under the cover of darkness won't be discovered until sunrise. I bet they'll be trying to do as much as they can before morning comes. So it's settled then. I'll look into the other curse bearers by night. And once the city wakes up, I can start asking questions. I'll investigate the kidnapping as well. I'll even try and find Miss Shiraishi as part of the bargain.
Thank you. That's more than enough.
Now then. I should get to work. There's only so much time before sunrise. I'll call you if I find anything new. You stay here and keep a lookout.
All right.
There's no telling what kind of curses you might find on the streets tonight. Don't go outside if you can help it. And try to be ready for anything.
I will.
Well, that's all I should be going.
Been almost an hour since Richter left. He promised he'd call me if anything happened. But he hasn't. So all I can do is wait. Wait. I know it's dangerous to go out. But I can't just sit here and let this opportunity pass me by. I have to look for her. For Michiyo Shiraishi. But first, I need to find more soul drags. Should I put a record on? No, it's too late for that. I'm not in the mood for music anyway. The flowers put me at ease. Just a little. I'm waiting for Richter to contact me, but he hasn't. What's this? A newspaper? Must have fallen off the chair. It's a newspaper. I only leave them in here for the guests. I hardly ever read them from them myself. I don't think I've taken the time to go over one in years, in fact. Well, it's not like I have anything better to do. Looks like the city's biggest problem right now is pollution. I remember how the air and water used to be even more polluted. The river was covered in scum from all the sewage and industrial waste. It stank so badly it'd make my eyes water. Eventually, people started getting sick, and it couldn't be ignored anymore. Fortunately, it's gotten better since then. Although the air around the industrial district is still filthy with gas and smog. All sorts of articles about the current state of the economy. Now that the post-war boom has passed its peak, we're moving into the era of large corporations. About 220 to 230 yen to the dollar. Manufacturing is on the rise and exports are healthy. The dollar is down from its height and people are saying it could fall further. There's no denying how much the standard of living has improved in the past few years. It's common to own a car and television now, and supermarkets are better stocked than ever. Come to think of it, I never offered him any tea. Not that I ever learned how to make it. Now that everyone has more spending money to go around, people are coming up with all kinds of new diversions. It seems like only yesterday that people were flocking to the arcades to shoot aliens, but now we have these enormous theme parks and gaming machines that plug straight into our televisions. Everyone's talking about superhero series, foreign films, and movies based on the latest bestseller. Back in my day, fusion rock and folk music was all the rage. Now it's all about city pop and idols. I find it hard to care about that sort of thing anymore. Everyone attends high school now, even girls. Universal education policy, they call it. The country's gotten rich enough that every child can go to school. Education is the backbone of modern society. If you want to work for a good company, you have to get into a good university. With more people in the running than ever, the competition to get into those universities has gotten fierce, though. The new generation is rebelling. Schoolyard violence and delinquency are on the rise. But my boy was too sensible to get mixed up in any of that. I don't want to read anymore. It'll only remind me of him. There's nothing on at this hour. I see no point in turning it on. That old hanging scroll. I've seen it too often to feel anything from it now. My husband used to complain that it was too dark, but I rather liked the gloom. I need to distract myself somehow. I don't want to be alone with my thoughts. Maybe reading the newspaper will take my mind off things. Oh. I don't really watch much television. Feels as if all the information in the world gets passed through that little black box. But Father stopped them from reporting on the kidnapping back when it happened. I was glad about that. Less fuss. Now the comedy boom is over, all the comedians are flocking to other genres. The occult seems really popular at the moment. Look at all these paranormal specials. I I hear the big new thing is some mascot line of delinquent birds. Mockingbirds, I think it's called. Was that what Richter was talking about? Trends seem to have such short shelf lives now, with how quickly the times are changing. I think I'm just too old to keep up anymore. It's young people who are leading the way with their modern worldviews. My generation will only fall further behind. Although with everyone flocking to the city, land prices are skyrocketing. Nowadays, most people can only dream of home ownership. The city center is going to be nothing but apartments before long. I'm not exactly a businesswoman, so all this feels like another world to me. If there's one thing Honjo never wants for, horrific crimes. They found a police officer dead in a local park just the other day. A lot of my family are in the police. I hope it wasn't anybody I knew. I don't read the news anymore. Not since last year. It brings back bad memories. Suicide at local high school? Oh, I remember that. A high school girl jumped off a roof about a week ago. She was bullied, I think. Maybe it was something about exam pressure? Huh? What? But... No. This can't be right. Her name. Michio Shiraishi. From Komagata High School? It can't be. Michiro Shiraishi, the same girl who witnessed my son's kidnapping, committed suicide last week? But that means... Mr. Jonouchi was terrified of someone who already died? Is that what he meant by a curse? I can't work this out on my own. Maybe Richter will know. Why won't he call? Oh, I haven't left it off the hook, have I? I'm waiting for Richter to contact me, but he hasn't. I've made sure the receiver is on the hook. It'll ring as soon as he calls. Aha! That must be him. Hello? Shigima residence? Richter called me out to meet him, and we came here, to Komagata Bridge. Richter, there's something I need to tell you.
Funny, I was just thinking the same thing.
There's something I need to tell you.
What's up?
Well, that girl, Michiro Shiraishi.
The one who was with Shuichi on the day of the kidnapping?
That's her. Well, she's dead.
She's what?
The student who committed suicide last week. That was her.
I heard something like that happened, though. I heard something like that happened. Never got the name, though. Talk about bad luck. Finally get a lead, only to find out it's going into a literal dead end. Unless death was the whole reason Jonouchi was so shaken up. He said she was going to curse him. Was he talking about her taking revenge from beyond the grave?
It seems like we're back to where we started.
Not necessarily. That teacher knows something, I'm sure of it. At the very least, I'd put money on him having something to do with Miss Shiraishi's death. That's why he's scared of being cursed by her.
I see.
And also, something tells me he knows more about your son's kidnapping.
Huh?
In any case, I think I've got a good idea of what he's hiding. Call it a hunch.
A hunch?
Well, more of a theory. Care to take a guess?
Oh, gosh. I have a theory. I can't say for certain, but...
What if Mr. Jonouchi silenced Michio Shiraishi with murder?
What do you think?
I see. So you think Miss Shiraishi's death might not have been a suicide? That would certainly give him a good reason to think she'd hold a grudge by it. I'm not sure I'd buy it. That might be a little far-fetched.
I see. I'm sorry if I disappointed you. I'm not really cut out to play detective.
Well, no point in dwelling on speculation. The truth will out in time. Right now, I think we have another chat with Mr. Jonouchi.
We're on Komagata Bridge, over the Sumida River. There's a highway on one side and a freeway on the other, but they're both deserted this late at night. He's gazing down at the water. What does he see down there, I wonder?
No, I think that's all I can peep at.
Anything about the lights or something?
Yes. I like to. All I've got is surroundings, Richter, and talk. I think we're gonna talk some more.
Please, go ahead.
Alright then. I've been poking around places connected to the Seven Mysteries, looking for curse bearers. And I think I found a few candidates. First tall man I ran into in Kinshibori Park. I asked him for directions, trying to probe at him a little, but he turned the question right back around on me. He was out of there the second he figured I wasn't what he was looking for. I got the sense curses were nothing new to him. I'm about 40% sure he's a curse bearer. Then there's this middle-aged guy I saw on South Roriguesi Street. There's no question about this one. He had one of the curse stones in his hands. He had a nervous air about him, too. It was clear he was up to some shady business. Gathering soul drags, I'd bet. He'd make a good target. Next up is a pair. Young man and woman I saw around the Yoko Bridge. This time the man came up to me and asked me flat out if I was a curse bearer. I told him I didn't know what he was talking about, and he backpedaled and left. Looks like they lurk around here often. Looking for kindred spirits would be my guess. though it did seem like they were quite working as a pair. Gathering soldier eggs in a group might be a decent idea if you can make it work. But with things being how they are, it's gotta be hard to find folks one can trust. They got breasts, though. I don't know what their deal is, but I'd like to find out. Last two are detectives I seen sniffing around.
The police are involved?
Not necessarily. The body turned up in a local park a few days ago, so they might just be looking into that. Still, the park's got ties to one of the Seven Mysteries. Might be it was a curse that did the guy in. If they're sending in detectives from the head office, something's gotta be up.
How do you know where they're from?
Let's just say, when you're in this business, there's some faces you get to know. Anyway, that's everyone who's caught my eye.
You found all of them in so little time? I really did hire the best.
It's all in the name, ma'am. Richter Kai P.I. No. Make that Richter Kai, investigator extraordinaire.
My, an investigator extraordinaire. Is that why you can dress like that without drawing attention to yourself?
You bet. An investigator extraordinaire can blend in like a chameleon in any outfit.
Well, that aside, the middle-aged man and the young couple sound the most promising. Am I right?
Whichever we pick, it's still too early to make a move. Seems like the curse bearers are less involved with each other than we thought. Plus, still others we don't know about. I say we hang fire and see how things play out. Once more bodies start showing up, that'll get the pot nice and hot. Once it's boiling, our chance will come.
I think we just got a chat there.
Didn't you want to tell me something?
I've already said everything I wanted to say. Standing around is the last thing I want to be doing right now. This is my only chance to bring back my son. I can't afford to fritter it away.
It's the same thing.
The Sumida River. The water is filthy and horrid, but at night, when it's still, it looks almost peaceful.
Can I ask you something, ma'am? Is the Sumida River what you Honjo folks picture when you think of home?
I couldn't say. All I can tell you is that I can hardly stand the sight of it.
Right. Should have guessed.
This was where they found him, after he went missing. All alone, floating in that horrible water. All I can think is how scared he must have been. How cold he must have been. What did he ever do to deserve something so awful? I've come here every day since then. And I prayed to the river to give him back. Give me back my son. Day after day after day.
In olden times, people believed rivers marked where our world met the next. The act of crossing flowing water had a huge amount of spiritual significance. Back when Edo was founded, the people of Chuo saw the Sumida River the same way. They associated the far side of the river with the afterlife. That same place would later become Honjo. All their fear and revulsion accumulated there and took root. Then, the Ryugoku Bridge sprang up. After the Great Fire of Mereki, and just like that, Honjo was a part of the city too. And it turned from farmland into a town. People surrounded it with man-made rivers and crisscrossed it with canals and waterways.
Weren't those to prevent flooding? That's what I was told.
They were. That's not all they were for. Their other purpose was to contain all the corruption that had built up on the far shore. Stop it from leaking through to our side of the Great Divide. Officially, they were a physical barrier, but unofficially, they were a spiritual one too.
So, if I have this right, are you saying that Honjo is a place where the real world meets the afterlife?
Exactly. That's why the Rite of Resurrection is here. Rather than anywhere else, I'm sure of it. And that's probably why the Seven Mysteries and their curses have survived to the modern day. And I guess that would make this spot we're standing in now right over the water. The border between life and death. If there was ever a place where bringing back the dead might be possible, I reckon it's here. It's funny that you mentioned praying to the river. I might have done more than you think.
Is that supposed to make me feel better?
Just thinking aloud, ma'am.
Well, it's a nice thought.
It's not checked yet.
Oh, that's right. There's one more memory I have of this river. Do you mind if I tell you?
Go ahead.
I must have been about 20 years now, when I was still a schoolgirl. Back then, the Sumida River was much filthier than it is now. It was full of garbage and industrial discharge. It was scummy and slimy, and it stank. You could look out over the water and see dead cats and dogs and pigeons just floating. And one day, among all the filth and garbage, there was a piece of my missing classmate hand.
What?
It was almost a miracle when you stopped to think about it. What were the chances that someone would find a part of her that was still recognizable? And that although everything but the palm had rotted away in the water, the part that was left would have been an identifiable scar. And that they could tell it had been a murder from the blade marks across the bone.
Wait. Are you talking about the Nijima murders?
So you've heard of it. I'm impressed. I assume you were but an elementary schooler at the time?
I wasn't really aware of it then. I only heard about it after the fact. I had no idea what the classmate was a victim of yours. The victim was a classmate of yours.
To be honest, it was all a bit of a blur. A wave of chaos just parting around me. Something like that. They say the rest of her body must have sunk to the bottom of the river. They combed the riverbed, but only ever found pieces. Everything else must have rotted and flowed out to sea. Afterwards, I heard that all the divers who had been looking for her fell ill.
Sorry story for everyone involved, huh? It's funny. Everyone figures the river's filthy already. One more piece of garbage won't hurt. Every little bit makes it worse. It's a vicious cycle. I know I wouldn't want to go rooting around in there. I know I wouldn't want to go rooting around down there myself.
That's right. Which is why the riverbed is the last place anybody would go looking.
Shit.
Or so was the killer's thinking, I suppose. The times were changing quickly back then. Things were confusing. Everyone seemed to be in a hurry. Young people were moving to Tokyo in droves. Some even ran away from home to make it in the big city. And they made easy targets for bad people. A lot of them ended up disappearing without a trace. You see, back then, if you chopped a body into tiny pieces and threw it in the river, it would rot quickly and discreetly and sink to the bottom, never to be seen again.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
They arrested him shortly after. Fumichika Nejima. The man who killed my classmate and cut her into pieces. He was so methodical about it. It couldn't have been his first crime. And people began to wonder how many other girls he'd murdered the same way. The police never found any evidence of other murders in the end. But the river knows the truth. How many corpses has it swallowed over the years, I wonder? That same thought spread through everyone's mind, and they started to avoid this area. So really, the river has been rank with corruption for decades now. Or at least, that's how it seems to me. Well, was that interesting?
Well, I can see why you don't have any good memories of this river. With all that darkness lurking beneath the surface, there's no reason that you would. Still, if I may, ma'am, surprised you know so much about the Nejima murders.
But how could I not? After all, I was the one who found the hand.
Huh?
The police actually wrote me a thank you letter. They said it was only thanks to me that they managed to bring Nejima to justice. That was the only time my father ever said he was proud of me.
Huh. I guess it just wasn't the killer's day.
Sometimes I wonder if he resents me for it. The Sumida River. I have nothing but awful memories of it.
A little more thorough with my sweep.
Boo.
Nothing unsettling about the pavements or a street light or something. Okay.
Not yet, at
Maybe.
least.
Standing around is the last thing I want to be doing right now. This is my only chance to bring back my son. I can't afford to fritter it away. Is something wrong?
Not really. Just struck me. It's been 20 years since the Nejima murders.
So it has.
Not to spook you or anything, but I thought you might be interested in knowing.
Huh?
Life in prison doesn't always mean life. There's a precedent for first-time offenders being allowed out on parole after 20 years. Only if they're found to show remorse, the desire to reform themselves, of course.
That's right. I'm impressed you know so much. Still, it's hard for someone with a criminal record to reintegrate into society.
Hey, they've been trying to fix that recently, matching inmates with jobs and accommodation.
Oh, really?
You keep an eye on them, of course. Make them report in for regular checkups. But to avoid discrimination, keep the inmates' records a secret from everyone but their employers. Even give particularly notorious criminals new identities, so they won't be recognized in the workplace.
My. The way you put it, it's like you're saying Fumichika Nejima could be out on parole right now. In society under a new name, with nobody any the wiser.
Possible. As it happens, a little birdie told me about a big name making parole a few months back. I don't know if that was Nejima, but our discussion just now did bring it to mind.
I see. How unsettling. Now that you mention it, I just remembered something too.
What was it?
I was passing Komagata High School a little while ago when I saw someone. A janitor, I think. And I could have sworn he reminded me of Fumichika Nejima.
Oh?
He looked a little different after 20 years. Much thinner than I remembered, too. I told myself I was just seeing things. But perhaps it was him after all.
That was a lot. Oh, good.
So, what next?
Big question now is what the rest of the Curse of the Bears are up to. Luckily, the Sumida River is a good distance away from any of the Seven Mysteries. It's unlikely the other Curse Bears will come all the way out here and finally have a moment to think.
I see. All right.
Go to suspend.
We cannot currently progress any further. Let's just try again. Gravy on a bike. Okay. Suspend.
Alright, Frank, you're up now.
Alright. Oh, Captain and Captain.
Let's do this. Let me connect.
I was just kicked, so I think you're next.
Alright. Go ahead, Frank.
Sorry, also have to change it to, oh god. Someone teach Smooth Brain me how to do this, please.
There you go.
Never mind.
Hey boss, forensics is all done. The crime scene is clean. The other officers have all gone home. It's just us now. The park should be able to open back up tomorrow like nothing ever happened.
I doubt it'll get many visitors after everything that's happened.
You'd be surprised. Lots of people love that kind of thing. I bet they'll be lining up to get in. Occult stuff is really popular right now. Did you know that, boss?
Sounds stupid.
Well, it's not exactly rooted in science, but if ghosts really did exist, we could just ask them who the perp is.
Somehow, I doubt it'd be that simple.
Oh, but, I've heard that high school girls are really into this spirit board thing these days. Supposedly you can call on spirits and talk to them by using a board with letters on it. Wouldn't that be something?
You can try it out yourself if you're so interested.
Hey, that's not a bad idea. Let's give it a go sometime, boss.
What now? Stop messing around. You really think we're gonna solve this case by moving a coin across a scrap piece of paper?
Sounds like you know all about it. We've got to be open-minded. What if that's how police work is gonna be from now on?
Don't make me laugh. Ouija board.
Ouija board.
Listen up, Erio. You can't go blaming the death of your buddy on something like the occult.
I don't care if it was ghosts or the occult or what. Whoever or whatever it was that did this, I'll get them. I promise you that.
Well, you got the right attitude, but we don't even know if this is a murder yet. Biases weaken our judgment. Get too fixated on one thing, and you stop seeing everything else.
Aye aye, boss. So, now that we've finished investigating the scene, let's review what we know.
Now? It's getting late. I figured we'd head straight home from here.
Come on. We've got to go over all the info we've gathered. And what better place to do that than here at the scene of the crime where we can soak up the atmosphere?
Soak up the atmosphere? The hell is there to soak up? You must be really into this occult stuff if you get off on being in a place like this.
Wait. You mean being somewhere like this doesn't get your blood pumping? No way.
No. Don't turn this around on me. I'm not the weird one here. Cripes. Ugh. Fine. Let's just get this over with.
Aye aye, boss. The former Yasuda Gardens here in Yokohama Ichome were originally built as part of the daimyo's estate back in the Edo period. The park became city property a number of years ago and underwent extensive renovations. There's not a soul around at this time of night. Quiet doesn't even begin to describe it. This pond. They say it used to flow into the Tsutsumi River. But the river became so polluted that they cut it off.
I've got a bad feeling about this case. My gut is rarely wrong. I knew this would be a treacherous case from the moment we were dragged into it.
So, early in the morning yesterday, a staff member found the victim collapsed here in the park and called the police when they realized he was dead. While there were no obvious external wounds, the fact that he was a police officer and the evidence of a struggle means it's likely that this was a murder. The Sumida office sent it over to us since it involved the death of an officer, and we were tasked with the investigation. What we need to do is figure out what happened and whether there was foul play involved. I think that about sums things up.
Erio, a detective in the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department, 1st Investigative Division. His rank is sergeant. This is his first time leading a case. It's like he's graduated from rookie to newbie. He looks put together on the outside, but acts like a kid most of the time. Honestly, the force could use more people like him.
The victim is Hajime Yoshimi of the Juvenile Division of the Sumida City Community Safety Bureau, 27 years old, single. He mostly dealt with cases involving juveniles and education. His rank was senior police officer.
You knew him well, didn't you? What was he like?
Yes, we were in the academy together. We still went out for drinks together every month or two. He could be a little rowdy, but he was like a big brother to us all. He was kind and cared about his friends. For better or worse, he wasn't the uptight type of cop. The man always showed empathy, and I heard he was popular with the locals for it. He treated each and every troubled kid he met with compassion. He had a great track record when it came to rehabilitation.
Sounds like we lost a good one.
Yes, we did. We truly did. I knew being a cop was dangerous. I knew something like this could happen, but
Never easy when it happens for real. I know the feeling.
he didn't seem to care much about climbing the ranks, but he was at the top of our class. Only problem was that he took on so much. He had the most unfinished paperwork, too. I always felt we'd need an unusual guy like him to help us solve all our unusual cases.
Don't worry. You're plenty unusual yourself.
Me? I was the most normal of all my classmates. Besides, the real weirdo among us quit the academy a long time ago.
There was one even weirder than you. Take another quick look around. Because this game likes to put in random stuff.
As for the cause of death, we won't know until the autopsy is done. From what we've seen, though, it'd appear to be some kind of acute heart failure. But since he had no record of chronic illness and had no visible wounds, it's possible that poison or drugs could be involved.
Dying in the middle of the park like that certainly seems suspicious.
We found signs of a struggle at the scene, as well as footprints belonging to an unidentified individual. We've got people trying to identify those prints.
If we can find who they belong to, we might be able to figure this whole thing out.
Yes. Wouldn't that be nice if there... Yes. Wouldn't that be nice if that were the end of it? The only things Hajime had on him were his badge and his wallet in his pockets.
So we can rule out a mugging. Though, there probably aren't as many people who'd think to try mugging a cop as big as him.
I've also heard that Hajime got into a fair few fights in his younger days. He started judo once he became an officer and rose up the ranks quickly.
Sounds like the perp would have had to been pretty strong to take on Hajime.
But, either way, I'm so glad you're back in the First Division, boss. I've always admired your work. You were like a god to me. You were the whole reason I became a detective in the first place.
Yeah, about that. People have been saying that ever since you first entered the academy, but...
Yes, that's because it's true. I couldn't believe you got transferred out of the first just as I was assigned to it. So, getting to work a case like this now, just the two of us, is a dream come true.
Happy as I am to hear that, well, how should I put it?
What is it?
If that's true, I'm not sure you've been showing me the appropriate amount of respect.
Huh? But I do respect you. Don't tell me you're going senile, boss.
It's exactly what I'm talking about. When you run your mouth like that.
It's getting late. You must be sleepy. Don't worry, boss. I'll make sure we get out of here soon.
Yeah, I get it.
So, all this occult stuff. Have you heard about it, boss?
What are you talking about?
This rite of resurrection thing that everyone's talking about.
No, not you two. Been hearing about that shit everywhere.
Oh, you have? That's surprising.
Who cares what people are talking about? It's got nothing to do with our job.
But don't you think the occult stuff with this case feels... I don't know, realer somehow? The whole thing started right here in Honjo in Sumida City. So I thought that maybe...
Cut it out. Nothing good can come of getting involved with that right of whatever, that record of fates.
Sounds like you know all about it. Boss, are you secretly into the occult?
Stop that. Seriously. This isn't a joke. I get why you'd be intrigued by something called the Rite of Resurrection, or a buddy of yours died, but bringing the dead back to life, that's the stuff of fantasy. It's not real. So don't go hoping for miracles. Got it? Oh, we gotta go through all those again. Alright, back to the case.
But, boss?
Yeah?
Is this case really important enough to assign someone from the investigation division? I mean, a friend of mine died, so it's important to me, but...
It's all up to the higher-ups. I'm sure they've got their reasons.
Boss, you know something, don't you?
It'll all become clear in time. Try not to worry about it too much.
Thinking about it. The only thing we know for sure is the identity of the victim. That means there must have been something special about him, right? Maybe he knew something he wasn't supposed to. Some kind of secret or something. Isn't that right?
Pretty sharp sometimes, you know that? If you've picked up on that, you should be able to put the rest together yourself.
Well, it is our duty to get to the bottom of suspicious death, especially one involving an officer. Hajime was quite the bad boy in school, apparently. He ended up with the police a lot. He said the officer in charge was good to him, helped him get back on track. The reason he wanted to become a cop was to pay his kindness forward. Said it was the first time he ever took his studies seriously.
That's a good story. Love that kind of thing. Makes me want to have a drink in his honor.
Please don't make fun of my dead friend.
Hey, I said in his honor. You should aspire to become the cop people miss when they die in the field.
You say that like it's a sure thing I'll die. Besides, if I end up biting it, I'm sure you'll be the one who misses me most, boss. Come on, don't be like that. You'll hurt morale.
Well, I guess how much I'll miss you depends on how this investigation goes.
I can already see it. Erio! No! Why'd you have to go and get yourself killed?
I have no idea what's going on in that head of yours.
Yeah, that'll be a sight to see. I can't wait.
You can't wait for your own death? Get it together, kid. Sheesh, you really are something.
Thank you?
What about the victim's family?
The Yoshimi family is from Kitasenju in Adachi City. but Hajime's parents died a long time ago. He lived there all alone. No siblings or anything. I went to his house a few times for drinks. I was surprised. It's this huge, old-looking place. Like, you know, the kind of place that seems super haunted.
And he lived there alone?
It looked like the home of an old noble family. It was hard to imagine him being such a delinquent living in a house like that.
There's that bias I was talking about. If he's from an old family, I'm sure things were complicated.
That's a bias too. He never talked about any of that, even when we were drunk, so I don't know much about it. Oh, one more thing.
Yeah?
Hajime was engaged. He'd been seeing his fiancée ever since they were in school. Over 10 years. They just started talking about getting married. What was her name again? He showed me a picture once. She was a beautiful woman.
That's so. How terrible for her. But she may know if there'd been anything going on with him lately. We should speak to her.
Yeah. His fiancée may have been his only confidant. I'm sure someone at the Sumida Police Department has already contacted her. I'll look into it tomorrow. Hey boss? I looked into the case that Hajime was running.
Oh, great. That's the kind of stuff I want to know. What was Hajime working on the day he died?
Well, according to his report from the day before, he had 2 cases involving juveniles.
Uh-huh.
The first was the suicide of a high school girl who jumped off a building in Kamizawa last week.
Ah, yeah. I did hear about that.
The girl's name was Michiyo Shiraishi. She was a second-year student at Komagata High School. But it seems as though Hajime had contact with her even before this incident.
So she'd been troubled for some time.
That's the thing. About a month ago, he happened to see her walking around town. She looked upset, so he struck up a conversation with her. He was sure there was something bothering her, but she wouldn't tell him what.
Must have been trouble at home.
That's what he thought too. It seems he visited her home and spoke to her parents, but they said there was no problem. So there was nothing else he could do. And now she's dead.
Then it's possible he could have prevented her suicide then.
He must have been devastated. And that's why he was looking into this Michiyo Shiraishi again. He must have thought that something terrible had happened that drove her to end her life. But ultimately, he never reported the findings of his investigation.
I see. And you're thinking that it may have had something to do with his death. We'll have to find out what it is Hajime discovered.
Right. Let's check with this...
Crap.
Right. Let's check with the Sumida Police Department about that tomorrow, too. Time of death was around 11 p.m. 2 days ago, outside the park's operating hours, of course. His body was found early in the morning yesterday.
11 p.m., the day before yesterday. What was Hajime doing out here at that time in the first place?
That's the question, isn't it? The entrance to the park is closed after hours, but it's a small gate that'd be fairly easy for him to get through if he really wanted to. That would, of course, be breaking and entering, but what do you think, boss?
Hard to imagine a cop like Hajime would trespass for no reason. And since it seems like someone else was here with him, could they have called him here?
Oh, that does seem likely.
They must have been talking about something pretty sensitive to come here in the middle of the night. So Hajime met someone here to discuss something in secret.
And then they got into a fight?
No, that wouldn't match the cause of death. There were no wounds on the body that would indicate a spontaneous scuffle. The perp must have planned something.
Then you think it was meditated. That would mean it called Hajime to the park with the intent to kill him?
Well, there is still the possibility that it was just some kind of accident. Maybe the perp tried to threaten Hajime and then things went south from there. We should be able to get a clearer picture once we know exactly what killed him.
Right.
And what was the other case he was working?
This one is also related to a Komagata High student. A troublemaker named Hitomi Okuda. She seems to be the leader of a group of kids who get up to no good.
Juvenile delinquency. Fun.
She was pretty bad for a while. Multiple charges of destruction of property, assault and battery, you name it. Hajime had been working with her for about 6 months, and she was finally starting to open up. Then, he met with the girl the day he died.
Well, every school's got its problems. But I'm sure he'd be worried about how she'd get on without him.
Right. Just when she'd finally found an adult she could trust. She might act out without someone helping her get through this.
We'll have to make sure the Sumida Community Safety Bureau does their job. But... we can't rule out the possibility that meeting with this delinquent girl had something to do with his death. Then we'll have to interview her, too.
Ah, yes, you're right. She may have been the last person to see him alive, after all. I'll ask Sumida to introduce us tomorrow. Though, who knows if they'll actually let us talk with her.
That's what we hired you for. Lay a little boyish charm on them if they need convincing.
Ah. Yeah, I'm sure they'd prefer me over a scary-looking old man like you, boss.
Watch it. I'm still your superior. You ought to act like you respect me, at least.
Oh, I thought I was.
You were? Shit. Is that just how your generation speaks? You really are a new breed.
It's probably just me, actually.
Yeah, well, don't think you can get away with that with other people.
So, anyways, boss,
Were you even listening?
we've got quite a bit to look into tomorrow. First, the 2 Komagata High School cases that Hajime was handling. And we need to speak with his fiancée as well. I believe that's it for tomorrow. I've been wowed by your shrewd detecting abilities all day today.
Oh, really? Funny. Been wowed by you, too.
On the topic of family, what's yours like, boss?
The hell is wrong with you? Prying into my personal life all of a sudden?
It's just, I've never heard you talk about them or anything. Oh, are you single?
Shut it. None of your business.
Well, ever since I joined the force, I've been thinking. The department really pressures young officers to get married. I wonder why that is. You don't say anything like that, though.
How should I know? I caved to the pressure myself and got married 20-some years ago.
Huh? So then...
God, you're relentless. She took our daughter and left 4 years ago. Thanks for reminding me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't believe she'd give up a guy like you.
I was never home much. I'm too focused on work. I'd come home late only to get called right back out again. Plus, being a cop is dangerous work. I don't blame her for getting fed up with it all.
How sad. Especially when you're after you're putting your life on the line. Oh, is that why you transferred out of the first?
It was already too late by then. You better be careful, Erio.
You say that, but there's not much I can do, is there? That's the nature of our job. There aren't many who can really understand it. Not unless they're involved with police work themselves, or related to someone who is. But wait, you have a daughter, boss?
You really think I want to talk about her after all that? Have some sense.
Come on. I promise I don't mean this the way it sounds, but... How old is she?
Jeez, you don't know when to quit, do you? At least try not to look so intrigued. She's a bit rough around the edges. I think most men are intimidated by her. Last I heard, she's living by herself and going to college.
Wow, a college student. Men love an educated lady.
Stop that. What kind of cop are you, making baseless assumptions like that?
She's living on her own, though, huh? You must worry about her.
Worry? I don't even know where she lives.
Oh, so she hasn't told you. Probably because she knows you'd follow her around everywhere.
I would not. I don't think.
Come on now. We both know that's not true.
Listen here.
You may look like a mean old man, but you sure have a soft side.
What? Is that supposed to be a compliment? Oh, I can't keep up with you. We're done talking about this.
Oh, that reminds me. If you got married 20 years ago, it must have been right around the Nejima murder.
You know your history. Yeah, that happened a year or two after our wedding.
You were the one who arrested the killer, weren't you? We studied that case at the academy. I was only in elementary school at the time, but I still remember people talking about some dangerous criminal getting arrested.
All that was just cracking the case, finding the guy. It was all happenstance. I'd really rather not think about it. It was a disturbing case. Did it not make your skin crawl when you learned about it at the academy?
It did. We were all terrified.
Sounds about right. No one could believe that such a mild-mannered man could have committed such a terrible murder. If we had overlooked one little thing, we may never have caught him at all.
I think I remember hearing there was only one charge brought against him at the end.
That's right. We didn't have the evidence. I knew there was no way such a meticulously planned crime could have been there first, but we may have stuck Fumichika Najima in a cell, but it was no victory. He always had the upper hand. And all the damage he did to everyone involved, especially the victim's classmates. It's already been 20 years, huh? God damn it. This is why I try not to think about it.
I'm sorry.
Got a bad feeling about this case. My gut is rarely wrong. Did I already narrate this?
Yeah. I think there was one more question mark at on like the path right there.
Oh, crap.
All I can hear is the rustling of leaves on the ground.
Ah, yep.
This is where the victim was found. It's clean now. It almost feels like nothing happened here at all. But once an incident like this has come to pass, there's no going back. Not that knowing that is any consolation. Well, boss, I think that about does it.
Right. Let's call it for tonight. I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, God. What is that?
Huh? Boss, what's wrong? Don't tell me you're going senile.
Damn it. It was that case all along?
Boss? What is it? Is there something over there?
Killed him! Killed him! Those that spread lies. Killed them all.
A murderous impulse seeps into my soul like a thick black tar. Now,
Kill. Can you hear it, cursed Blightbearer? You who so strongly desires the right. Kill them.
Boss! Boss! Boss, what's the matter? Don't tell me you really went senile.
sorry. I'm fine. Erio,
Yes?
I have some bad news.
Oh no. Your senility is kicking in, isn't it?
No, we've got a bit of trouble on our hands. Looks like we'll be working some overtime. We're not going home tonight.
Huh? What are you talking about?
Stop here for tonight.
You know,
Ooh.